GAN 12, GAN 13, GAN 14. At my market stalls at competitions, I'm often asked to, well, which one's which? How do you tell the difference? Well, and what I do when anyone asks, simply take an edge piece out and then look inside. Oh, look, GAN 12, no edge magnet. GAN 13 does have an edge magnet, but it's longer and goes further into the core. GAN 14 has an edge magnet, but it's shorter. And that's probably a good thing, because the GAN 13 had all sorts of issues with the pieces, with the core magnets and the edge magnet getting right up and rubbing against the core. Which isn't good because it leads to all sorts of problems, just slight inconsistencies in the design, and it causes all sorts of problems, which GAN has sort of fixed, but not completely. But anyway, the GAN 14 is a decent, smooth turning puzzle. It's not exceptionally light, weighing 71 grams, which is consistent. Slightly heavier than the GAN 12 though. And it's also still 56 millimeters, which is interesting. I think GAN have decided they're going to stick with their 56 millimeter size, despite seemingly everyone else switching to 55 and some even as low as 54 or somewhere in the middle. 54 and a half seems quite common these days. But GAN stick with 56, which isn't a problem for me. I'm happy using any cube between 54 and 56, I think. So turning is quite decent. Obviously out of the box it's really fast, but this has been used a bit. Never really that much because it was never really my main, but it's still got some use. Corner cutting. Well, if the centers don't fly off. Now that is a bit of an issue, and it is an issue I've noticed because one of the center caps on my other GAN 14 is missing. But yeah, corner cutting is usually fine, and it has the 30-degree auto alignment feature. But the trouble is with that is it only really works if there's nothing holding it up. So it's like if you lube it with something ridiculously fast so that there is absolutely no friction, then yeah, sure, you have 30-degree auto alignment. But of course, nobody's ever going to do that. So do you really have 30-degree auto alignment? Sort of, but not really. Which means I can still kind of test the corner cutting to some extent. But obviously, cubes should have automatic corner cutting anyway, like the Daewoo Pro. Corner cut from anywhere, anyway, doesn't need 30-degree auto alignment. So this all raises a question: is this worth £68? And honestly, I can't say yes to a question like that. For some people, yeah, absolutely, because you want to try everything out, get the best cube for you. But for me, I do try everything out. And what I can conclude is I prefer the Super Waylong and probably quite a few other cubes like the Daewoo Pro, which is a lot cheaper. And I think the issue stems from how their ball core works, or more specifically, it not being a ball core. And I think this is something that GAN have patented, and the other cube companies have been like, well, okay, we'll just do it differently. And the thing is, their differently is actually better. If you look closely here, you see that GAN doesn't have a ball core. It has core magnets sticking out of the core. The trouble is with this, and this was most clear on the GAN 13, is Well, the core magnet can just get stuck on there and not slide past like it's meant to. Could just get stuck directly on the core magnet. Whereas Moyu's ball core system doesn't have this problem because all of the core magnets are, well, in a ball core. So if I insert a corner, sure, it's going to pretty much touch the ball, but it's a ball, so it's kind of irrelevant if the magnet touches the ball. It's not going to catch on anything. And this eliminates the issue. But I guess GAN have stubbornly stuck to their system, for now at least. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the inevitable GAN 15 at the end of this year. And of course the other thing to note is that the GAN 12 and GAN 13 are going down in price significantly. So I initially reduced the GAN 13 to £50, and I've recently had to reduce the GAN 12 as well because, well, my prices at wholesale are going down and, well, I've got loads of them anyway. The GAN 14 still seems to sell reasonably well, but nowhere near as well as it has done in previous years. And I think this is because GAN are failing to really see what they need to do. Like what makes a good cube and what makes people willing to pay so much. Of course, Moyu's 23 releases in 2023 or whatever didn't help that because, well, all the new cubes people talk about are all Moyu cubes, and meanwhile Qi have released almost nothing in 2023 except the Qi M Pro, which I would say is very much underrated, personally. Dying Guhong is one of the only other releases in 2023 that people really talk about. Obviously there have been some other strange things. But yeah, I'm afraid that is my view on the GAN 14. Probably for most people not worth £68. There is, of course, the frosted version, which is only £60, but I think most people will just go for the UV coated version as by default. But yeah.